What's happening, people, and welcome to the Rambling Dad podcast. I'm trying some new content on the channel, so stick around and let's get into it. Moicano versus Drew Dober, and mate, what an absolute banger that was. And then even after the fight was finished, Money Moicano gets on the mic as usual and goes absolutely nuts. You know what I mean? He was laying it out there. 62-year-old dad's just had another kid. He's got a little baby brother on the way. He's going to go home, smash his own wife and make another kid. He was just going absolutely mental. He wants the money. He wants the smoke. He wants absolutely everything. And he's wanting to go for that belt as well. You know what I mean? So in the coming days after that fight, Moicano took to Twitter and he said that I want to see Drew Dober fighting Paddy Pimblett next. Let's see how tough this kid really is. Paddy didn't really like that one, and he had a little bit of a response himself. He's not one for normally calling people out. So Paddy took to Instagram, jumped onto the stories, tagged Renato Moicano and said, "Why would I fight Dober when I could smoke you much easier?" and posted it online. Now, like I said a second ago, Paddy's not usually one for calling people out, but he's jumped on there and he's done it this time. And that's an interesting matchup to be making. So let's see where it's going to be going. After the Instagram story tag, Renato took back to Twitter, jumped on there and said, "Paddy is calling me out and I'll fight you any day of the week. #UFC. Renato took a screenshot of this image, jumped onto Twitter, put it up onto a post and also wrote the words, "There's your UFC 300 main event, ladies and gentlemen. Moicano versus Paddy Pimblett." You know what I mean? Absolute banger of a fight, I think. And in the coming days after that, we've seen Moicano on the BYM pod. The interview was very, very interesting. Michael Bisping asked Moicano who his next opponent was, and straight off the bat, without even a minute's thought, Renato Moicano said Paddy Pimblett. So let's take a quick look at that now.
Who is the next victim? In a perfect world, who would you want?
Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett, I think that's a fight that, because today he called me out, right? And now that's not gonna, yeah, he called me out. That's not gonna be, you cannot say my name and don't get it. Now he going to get the smoke. He went to my Instagram because I was saying that he should suppose fight Drew Dober, right? Because he's acting tough. But let me tell you something. Paddy Pimblett with this team, doing like that, Drew Dober gonna smoke him. And I say that on Twitter, but he got all mad and he say, "Why would I fight Drew Dober if I can smoke you?" And he sent me that on Instagram, and I made a video.
He messaged you that?
He messaged me, yes, he messaged me on a stories and tag my name, and I say, "Okay, motherfucker, now you are in fucking trouble. UFC not gonna protect you because you start that shit, brother. I was not talking about your name, but guess what? If they put me against this motherfucker in Brazil, UFC 301, I can guarantee you I finish that motherfucker on the first round."
After that clip, Moicano and Bisping kind of went back and forth a little bit. You know what I mean? They started talking about the rankings. Bisping brought it up. Moicano said, "Look, mate, you know that really doesn't matter. We've just had Benoit Saint Denis just fought Matt Frivola. Now he's going up against Dustin Poirier." And he's just like, people jump all over the place. When the matchup makes sense, the matchup makes sense. So he kind of scrapped that. And then he had this to say.
Oh, rankings, you know, doesn't matter. They matter a little bit, but in the end of the day, is the fight that people want to see. And I can bet you people want to see me against Paddy Pimblett, and that's going to be a good fight. So UFC, stop protecting this motherfucker and put him against good competition. And that competition has a name: Money, Moicano, UFC, Brazil. And I get it. Maybe he's afraid to go to Brazil. Maybe Brazil is too violent for him. I can go to London, right? They have a UFC on London. And guess what? I will beat your ass in front of your queen. Not anymore, because not the queen, the king. Okay? The king. And I know you England guy, but don't give me that shit, brother. I will beat Paddy Pimblett on your town.
So as you can see there, Moicano's calling out for the UFC to stop protecting Paddy Pimblett and get him in there against some better opponents. Some people will think this, some people won't think this. You know what I mean? I think Paddy's had some pretty decent fights in there so far, and it would be good to see him go up against some of these bigger names to see what he's made of, and let's see what everyone else is saying about his chin get tested. But Moicano was up for it, whether it's in Brazil or whether it's in London or anywhere in the UK. Like he said, he was about to say that he was going to beat his ass in front of the Queen, but obviously the Queen has sadly passed. So now he's saying he's going to beat his ass in front of the King. So from on the side of that, the UFC hasn't been to the UK yet this year. They normally hold 2 cards. They have one in March and they'll hold one in July. There is rumours that there's going to be one in July. Whoever's headlining, let's say probably Tom Aspinall. But it wasn't all bad blood and shit talk. He also went on to actually talk quite respectfully about Paddy's game when Bisping asked him what his thoughts were on Paddy Pimblett.
Think of Paddy, because he talks a lot. I mean, so do you. I mean, that's what we do. I talked a lot of shit as well. What do you make of Paddy?
He's trying to make himself a name in UFC, right? And I think he could be a good fighter, right? I remember his fighting against Luigi Vendramini, and I know Luigi Vendramini. Luigi Vendramini is tough, and he was losing, and then he beat. So I think he has a good team. Now I'm gonna every time that I talk shit about the fight is because I want to get the fight. But I will be honest with you, I think he can take a punch. I think his chin is good, but I do think that he lack some defense on the striking, especially when he's walking forward, like his chin is up high. I think his wrestling is not top notch. I think he has a good jiu-jitsu, but only jiu-jitsu is not gonna get you to the rankings, you know. You know better than I'm, Bisping. You have to have a good striking and a solid wrestling and a good cardio. And as far as I am concerned, his cardio is not the greatest too. So I see a lot of holes, but I see that he has a lot of things to improve, and with his popularity and how UFC likes him, I think he can do it. The only problem is he's going to be a better fighter after I finish him on the first round. I'm gonna give him experience, and then he can move up and be a better fighter. But when I fight him, I will finish in the first.
He's just being honest. He's being open about how people move through the rankings, how people pursue this career in the UFC, and how they improve as a fighter as they go forwards. You know what I mean? So he's looking at his game, and he's dropping a little bit of respect on it. So he knows that Paddy can throw. He knows. He also goes on to mention about his jiu-jitsu, saying he's got very good jiu-jitsu, but he talks about it saying that jiu-jitsu isn't always going to win you the fight. You also need a good wrestling base. You also need some good striking defense. And he feels that Paddy holds his chin too high and that he'll be able to catch him. And a round one, a KO is how he will get this match. Ping responds by saying that's a fair assessment of Paddy's skills, talks about his chin being high, talks about his jiu-jitsu, and talks about his future within the UFC. Bez Ping also mentioned that it wasn't the worst decision we've ever seen in the UFC. And Moicano bit back by saying, actually, it was.
A close one with Jared Gordon. Could have went.
No, don't say that close one. It was not a close one. You know it was not a close one, Bisping. Do you really think it was a close?
I had Jared winning the fight. But
okay.
It wasn't the worst decision.
Now we talk.
It wasn't the worst decision we ever saw.
Maybe it was the worst decision ever. Maybe it was the worst decision ever in the UFC. Are you kidding me? That was the worst decision ever in the UFC. But okay, I got it. And to be very honest with you, it was a little bit close, but he definitely lost the fight.
It's funny how these things can go. Obviously, when they're shit talking and they want to set up a fight, they've got to say the things that they need to build a story and make it entertaining. So this whole segment was pretty fun to see, and hopefully we'll be able to see Moicano versus Paddy Pimblett. I doubt it's going to be the main event for the UFC 300, but I would love to see it in the UK if it's happening in July, where the rumors are lying, and obviously where it usually lines up. And to round it up, Moicano went on again to repeat that he's not waiting forever. He's getting towards a certain age now where he's 34 years old. He's wanting to carry on with his career, and if somebody else wants to step up, he even mentioned Beneil Dariush. He also said that on Twitter as well. But if Paddy Pimblett wants the smoke, then he can get it. You know what I mean? So it's going to be an interesting matchup. What's your guys' thoughts? Drop them in the comment section. Let us know. And also make sure you hit that subscribe button, folks. I'm going to plan on trying to do some more content like this. This is the first video that I've done, chopping some bits up, banging it all together, having a little look at the content that's out there, seeing what fighters are saying, and then we can run with that. But yeah, I'm all for it. I think it'll be a wicked matchup. Where I think Moicano does hold the striking advantage. If it goes down to the ground, they've both got some wicked jiu-jitsu. Will the wrestling come into play? Will Paddy be able to get a submission victory? Will he actually be able to stand and bang with Moicano? Who knows? Drop them in the comments. Let us know. Thanks for tuning in, people. Peace.
What's going on, people? Arnold Allen here. Make sure you subscribe to the Rambling Dad podcast. Keep up to date with all his MMA content, fight breakdowns, interviews, and all that stuff. give him a follow, give him a subscription, and yeah, get over there.